Hi, I'm Jefferson Robbins with NCW Life. In May of 2021, a guest at a Wenatchee hotel committed a horrible attack on an employee there. She fought back, she survived, and thanks in large part to that young woman's testimony, her attacker is now serving almost 18 years in prison. That woman's name is Starr Hernandez. She joins me now. Starr, thank you much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and again, kudos to you for coming through all that and being where you are today. And I wanted to talk about how we got to that point in May of 2021. You were working at this hotel in Wenatchee.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe what your usual boring day at work would be like?
So I was the morning employee, so my shift was usually 7 a.m. till 3 p.m., and that would consist of checking people out, because that would be at, I believe it was like 10 or 11 a.m. I think it was 11. So I would either have to call them and be like, hey, you need to leave, or do you want to stay another night? At 8 a.m., I would have to go and close the breakfast room, because the breakfast room closed at 8. I had to go in there, make sure all the milk was put away, all the non-perishable foods were put away, all the perishable foods were thrown away, like, hard-boiled eggs and stuff like that. And I mean, pretty much after that, I just had to basically wait for either phone calls from either guests who were inquiring about the prices or rates of rooms, or guests themselves from rooms being like, hey, is the pool open yet? Or hey, can I add another 3 nights on my till, or not till, on my bill? Or hey, I need a new TV remote, this one isn't working. Basic stuff like that. And I mean, that was basically it.
You had a lot to cover, a large area to work, but you could sort of predict the routine, I think.
Pretty much, yeah, because I mean, hotel job, it's not that difficult. It's just, I mean, even when it's busy, it's not. You just have to make sure you're just working a steady flow. And I mean, I think the hardest part about it is just either checking people in or checking people out, because you can have a whole bunch of people checking at the same time, or a whole bunch of people wanting to check out at the same time. And since at that hotel there was only one person, you had to do the whole workload yourself. So
you were there to help people. Your job was helping those folks who were checked in, the paying customers, seeing to their needs, even the ones who were more confrontational or more combative about it. On this day, the man who became your attacker was a very combative customer. There were rules in place that said that if you were in a room tending to a guest's needs, in this case it was supposedly a clogged toilet,
mm-hmm.
the guest had to be outside.
Yes.
This man ignored those rules, and that's when the attack commenced. Do you feel that you had sufficient protection at your place of work from this kind of thing?
No, I do not, because being able to tell the guest, hey, you need to stay out of the room, that's just not enough, because in this situation I was attacked and almost killed for this. And that can happen anywhere, and with any amount of employees or any amount of guests, like, this can happen anywhere. And like, it's like, even just a bottle of pepper spray, or just like something that would be like even like a one of those really loud alarms where you press it and it just like blares out, like even one of those on the lanyard would be efficient. And it's unfortunate, because one of the coworkers I used to work with, she was like, I really hope that they put a bottle of pepper spray on the lanyard this time, because we don't want this to happen. And nothing ever happened. Like, they never did anything about it.
You were, again, as you stated, the only person on duty at this time, and so unless you were able to fight your way free, or another guest were able to hear and come and intervene, there was no assistance for you.
Oh yeah, no, there was no assistance for me, because that was 15 minutes into my shift, and the manager wouldn't have shown up until 9:30. So either I fight in there for an hour and a half, or until I get out of there, or I'm done for, basically.
I know it was a rough experience, and it probably seemed like forever in your perception of time. You were able to fight off your attacker ultimately. Had you had any training or instruction in how to do that, self-defense, that kind of thing?
No, I never took any self-defense training. The only thing that I had was just me watching Law & Order Special Victims Unit, and just seeing Mariska Hargitay play Olivia Benson, and just the situations that she had to go through. And there were just cases that just went through my mind, because I've binge-watched that show so many times, except for the newest season. And I basically just did what she had to do. She had to bite a guy one time, so I bit this guy. And, she struggled and fought, for her life. And so I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to let this guy, if he's going to take me down, I'm going to try to take him down with me, basically. It's because all that was running through my mind was, why is he attacking me? What did I do to deserve this? I was just trying to fix his toilet.
So the subsequent events were the attacker left the hotel and was caught by police a little bit later on. You had to be treated medically
Yes.
for your injuries, and while you were being treated, you were also trying to give information to the police. Was it difficult to speak with police and other investigators, prosecutors about the incident?
Prosecutors and the police themselves, no. The only people I had issues talking to were there was a defense investigator and the defense attorney himself. Those were the only two people I had an issue with, and that's just because I'm the victim and the defense investigator was there for he was just getting both sides and everything. But the defense attorney, I knew that he was defending my attacker, so I was kind of like, I don't like talking to you. I don't like the tone that you're giving me. But everybody else, they were very respectful. They were very, very, I guess the nice word would be gentle with me, and they respected my boundaries. All the police officers and investigators were like, if you need us to stop or slow it down, you are more than happy to. I didn't have to, because I honestly didn't want to have to, I didn't want to give him more time than needed. So I just wanted to basically just make sure I had everything remembered and just make sure the police know everything so that they can just do their job, so that, I don't have to be asked more questions, because it's still traumatic to be asked, certain questions about this case, but I'm not afraid to be asked those questions, because I do want people to be aware, and I want people to be more protective of themselves and of others, because this can happen anywhere. This can happen in a mall bathroom, or it can happen in basically anywhere. It can happen literally at any place. It can happen.
In talking about, describing the events of the attack, what was your emotional response like? Did you have to stop and take a pause every now and then?
I think there was once where I had to stop just because I was crying a little bit, and I had to get some tissues and kind of blow my nose and stuff. But aside from that, it wasn't that hard. I was able to push through it. In the very beginning, though, having to explain the very beginning of him grabbing me and just the first attack of that always got to me. But now that I've talked about it so much, it's kind of I'm used to it, and I'm more, I guess, desensitized to it. But I still feel that emotion of just being fearful and just afraid for my life, because for 2 whole minutes in there, at least what I think was 2 minutes in there, I genuinely thought that he was going to kill me and that I was not going to make it out of that room alive.
Now, like a lot of people, you said you're a big Law and Order fan.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Law and Order, had you had any experience of the criminal court system in the past? Have you ever sat through a trial or anything like that?
I've been to a couple court cases, not for me, but for I went for one of my friends. They were having some issue. I think it was a money thing. It's way different from Law and Order for sure. But it was very nice, and having the experience of going into the courtroom, as a victim, it was scary, because in the beginning I didn't want to go and testify. I was like, I don't want to see this guy. I don't want him to look at me. I don't want to look at him. I didn't want to do it, and my prosecutor and my victim advocate, they were like, you have to do this. It's scary, but no, he can't hurt you. We have plenty of people there who will be there for you. It's going to be okay. You'll have to do this, and then you will hopefully never have to do it again. And so I was like, I kind of just got the courage, and I was like, okay, it's all right. He's going away for a long time. I know that. I just have to make sure I tell my side of the story, and I tell it truthfully. And that's what I did. I went up there, and yeah, I only had to look at him to point him out, and I had to point out his weird plaid shirt, but I was able to do my part, and now he's going away for it.
Were there particular techniques or tricks, ways that you talked yourself into giving testimony, ways to sort of work around the trauma?
Not really. They gave me this squishy football, and I was grabbing and squishing at it really, really hard, and that was kind of making sure I was calming down and wasn't talking too fast, because I talk really, really fast sometimes when I'm anxious or nervous or even excited. So when it came to asking questions about, was there any way that you could have gone out of that room beforehand, it's no, him grabbing me and him basically having me pinned to the floor with my stomach on the floor and him on top of my back. How am I supposed to get out of that? Am I supposed to just lather myself in oil or something magically and just slide out? No, that's not going to work, And
a thing to remember also is that in the course of this trial, you were accused of being the attacker.
Oh, yeah, which was hilarious. I hate to admit it, but it was hilarious because I went up there to unclog his toilet, because he called me saying that he had slipped and injured his ribs and that he broke the plunger while trying to unclog his toilet, and so he needed help unclogging his toilet. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go up there and help. Why would I attack him at my job? That's my place of employment. It's it's just very, very confusing as to just everything that he was saying. It was just very confusing.
A jury convicted your attacker of assault and kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
They did not convict him on the charge of attempted murder. How did you feel about that charge being overturned?
That was fine with me because it was actually before they had even gotten the attempted murder put on. The prosecutor asked me about it, and he was like, "Look, it's going to be a very, very it's going to be a hit or miss with attempted murder. With the assault and kidnapping, we think that we can get him on it, but attempted murder is going to be rough." And I said, I want this put on just for my own sanity, just because of the first thing that he said to me when he grabbed me. Shush, it's okay. It'll all be over soon. I don't know how anybody can't think of that as basically a death threat. Basically, I'm not gonna be mad at the jury or whatever. They did their job. They did it right. They got him for kidnapping and assault, and I don't mind that attempted murder wasn't he wasn't guilty of it. If he was, it would have made me even happier. But that was just mainly for my own sanity, just because of what he said. Because deep down, I knew that he was going to try to kill me if I did not get out of there.
Who helped you? Who was your best helper in all of this?
As in the whole after the incident and the trial and.
Who's in your life that made a difference when you were feeling at your worst about this attack?
Is it weird to say that my cat?
No.
My cat Shadow. I've had her for over 10 years now. She is basically the love of my life. Basically, I love her to death, and the day after it happened, or the day that it happened, when I got home, she knew something was wrong with me, and she has been by my side ever since. And when I'm having a bad day, she is instantly right there for me. And I could not be more thankful than to my cat. And that's not saying that nobody else has helped me. My Aunt Jolie, she is amazing. She basically, when I told her about what happened, she basically came over and she had me go over to her house, and me and her cried about it. We started talking about it, and she's like, if you need anything, you can talk to me about it. I'll help you out. Doesn't matter what it is. And it's just nice to have that just family around and stuff like that. So. But
your cat was your therapy.
Basically, my cat is my therapy. Yeah.
Something that you said on the day of sentencing to your attacker, you said in court, "While that day will be burned in my mind from the trauma, I can assure you that everything about the man who did this will be forgotten." Have you been able to forget? Have you been able to constructively put it in the past?
Oh yeah, it's obviously when I look at articles and when I see his face or something, obviously I'll remember it. But right now, you could try asking me, what does he look like, and I'll tell you, I don't know, because I don't care anymore. He hurt me, but he doesn't deserve any of my time or my attention anymore, so I'm not going to give it to him. I'm going to basically force myself to forget him, and it's working because I've already forgotten what he sounded like. Yeah, I remember what he said to me, but I've already forgot his voice. I forgot the ugly, disgusting taste in my mouth I have from him. I'm getting over the fear of, walking past the courthouse thinking, oh, he's in there somewhere. I'm now walking past it being like, haha, you're going to prison for 18 years almost. What do you think about that, smart one? He doesn't deserve any more attention and quote-unquote fame than he's already gotten, in court. So, some guy attacked me in that hotel room, but I'm not going to remember him anymore. I already remembered him for the trial, and that's all that needs to be remembered.
It's all past.
Yep.
Starr Hernandez, very much a survivor. Thank you so much for being here to join us today.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
You're watching the NCW Life channel.